Hello, I'm Simon Turner from the Changemakers Partnership. This video is designed to help people in the Scottish sports system adopt the Changing Lives approach by understanding the basics of data collection. Before we dig in, let's cover good data ethics, which can save you time by reducing questions and complaints. 1. Make sure you ask for people's consent before you collect data about them. 2. Communicate upfront about how you're going to use the data. 3. Comply with relevant policy and legislation. Your governing body could help with this. And 4. Stay in touch with participants continuously. Go back to them again and update their feedback. A monitoring, evaluation, and learning framework is a great structure for monitoring outputs, evaluating outcomes, and learning how to improve delivery. With a simple MEL framework, we start with a clearly defined outcome, then decide what data we will collect, who we'll collect data from, how we'll collect it, and when. So let's unpack each of these. Once you've written a MEL framework, we can consider what types of data to collect. Participant data like demographics shows us whether we're reaching the people we intend to reach. Attendance data tells us who's turning up and how often so that we can understand who's benefiting the most. Feedback data tells us what people think of our delivery, which allows us to make improvements. And change data tells us about the consequences of our activities, the difference that we're making. Now, having loads of data sounds great, but if that data doesn't truly represent who is taking part, then it's not so useful. So reflecting on why people can't or won't share data about themselves is valuable when designing our framework. If a survey or feedback form is too difficult to complete or complicated to understand or even in the wrong language, people just can't provide the useful data that we're asking them for. That's why we need to design inclusion into the data collection process. Even if people can't easily provide their data, they simply won't if they have concerns about the privacy, safety, or relevance of the data. That's why we need to build trust through communication and follow through on our commitments to use the data ethically and for good reasons. So how can we collect data? Surveys are great for collecting large amounts of anonymous data cheaply and quickly, but the tick box effect can make results less reliable and they can sometimes lack depth. Interviews are sometimes the opposite. They can give you in-depth insights, but your conclusions might be skewed if you can't talk to everyone, and they take a lot of time to complete. Focus groups can enable great discussion and elicit a range of views, but participants might unknowingly influence each other, and experience is needed. Finally, it's important to consider when to collect data. Collecting data before your program starts gives you a baseline of who you want to attend. Collecting data during your program lets you see who's engaging and who's not. Collecting data immediately after sessions can help you make adjustments to your delivery. And collecting data post-program is the critical step in measuring the changes or the distance traveled as a result of participating. So data collection doesn't have to be complicated. Start with the basic ethics, then consider what, who, how, and when. The key point is good data leads to good decisions.